وسهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا مع ليلى الحسيني في بث حي ومباشر وعبر wnzk راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern, and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on wnzk 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan with Layla Al-Husseini. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues with your host, Layla Al-Husseini.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Baladi, USR Radio. Excuse me. The best ethnic radio station in North America. My name is Khalil Hachem, editor of wdmv.com. Michigan is the largest multimedia network of news and information. And this show is brought to you in cooperation with Michigan and US Arab Radio. We wish Layla Al-Husni, founder of US Arab Radio, well. She hasn't been feeling well in the past week. Most likely it's the weather. And we wish her well this morning. Excuse me. The weather today, this is a beautiful weather today. It's starting at 52 degrees in the area, and it could reach up to 70 degrees. Can you believe it? We're almost at the end of November, and we're still in the 70s. Michigan is becoming one of the best places to live weather-wise. So we thank the Lord this morning for this beautiful, beautiful weather. With us today, we have a great show for you. We have Lena from, excuse me, Lena Kamal from CARE is with us today, and also Barbara McQuade from the U.S. Attorney's Office is with us today. The topic we are discussing is a very important topic to the community, and that is the surge of attacks and bullying against Muslim Americans. It is bullying in the days of Trump. And the New York Times reported that the number of bullying has increased tremendously in the past, 3 months or 4 months since the national election, presidential election heated up, leading to the election itself, and continues to increase as well. Right now, I was very disappointed on what Mr. Trump said about the issue. I thought he was going to be a lot more forceful and ask his supporters to refrain from he basically just told them to stop. That's not really enough. I hope that in the future he'll do a lot more. Mike, is Lena with us yet?
She's not with us yet, no.
Okay. Please let me know when she's with us. And CARE is one of the organizations that will be, that has been at the forefront in providing help for a lot of people in our community, and we hope that you will join us to get a really good idea of what is, what's going on, and what we can do to, who to really report these issues to, and how to get help and learn how to protect ourselves. Later on, Barbara McQuade, she's a U.S. attorney in Detroit, to the Eastern District in Detroit. She's also will be talking to us a little bit about the law and what does it mean. This is America, and how we protect ourselves as well. The news has been kind of fairly depressing and concerning, rather. When you have people in Ann Arbor and other places asking women to take off their hijabs, or they're gonna burn them or attack them, or even worse. So this is really unusual for America, and we hope that it does not really escalate. We hope that it would dissipate. And what will it take for that to dissipate? The unfortunate incident is that and who really pays the most for it is women wearing hijab, because there's no mistake that they are Muslims. And so, we can disguise ourselves, men can disguise themselves and blend with the rest of the population, but, women cannot. It just reminds me of the time when whites in America were attacking blacks. And, how could a black person really blend in? The black person is a black person. His skin is going to give him away. And women, Muslim women, their headscarf, and their hijab gives them away, and makes it really difficult to disguise yourself. And it is a religious duty for women to wear hijab, and some women truly believe in it, and they should. I remember when I had this discussion with my wife when she first came to America, and my wife said that we're discussing the hijab, and said, "This is who I am. This is me. It's not something that I can put it on today and take it off tomorrow. This is part of my personality." So we hope that things get better. Good morning, Lena. Hello.
Yeah, hi, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us. This is a very important topic. Lena Kamal from CARE. Very briefly, tell us about you and your organization for the sake of our listeners.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I work with the Council on American Islamic Relations. I'm the Safe Spaces Coordinator and Attorney at CARE Michigan. Safe Spaces is kind of like an outreach initiative that we started to be proactive within our community to create dialogue, tolerance, and education about Muslims and Muslim practices, as well as trying to encourage schools and workplace and universities, etc., to be as Muslim-friendly as possible, so Muslims in our community can feel integrated and part of the community.
Wonderful. The discussion today is the number of cases, in the aftermath of electing President Donald Trump, and the increase of cases of bullying specifically against Muslims. The number of cases of harassment has increased tremendously. 430 reports of bullying across the nation, and most of them, I'm assuming, they're against Muslims. Is that correct?
Well, unfortunately, all minorities are in some form or fashion definitely getting bullied and harassed for just being who they are, and Muslims is a big part of it. Especially as you guys were saying before, sometimes the Muslim women individuals who are very outwardly Muslim are sometimes most vulnerable, and also unfortunately due to this climate, children are, also very, very vulnerable to being harassed and bullied at school as well, yeah.
Do we know how many cases in Michigan?
That data is still being collected. Unfortunately, there's, incidents almost every day. So we're still collecting that data here at CARE, and hopefully we'll get something out soon.
How do we protect ourselves?
I think it's really important. Well, Safe Spaces is trying to work really aggressively with the schools and with our community to be able to help create awareness that this is going on, and to encourage schools to keep their eye out, especially during this turbulent time. And I think it's really important that parents get involved in the schools, and also students and parents not to be afraid. We encourage students and parents not to be afraid of speaking out and talking to administration if something does occur.
Wonderful. And who do we report incidents to?
Well, we'd love if you could report it to our office at CARE Michigan.
What's the number there?
The number is 248.
We can look it up later and make it available to everyone. And So have you guys talked about, or is there any way we can do some town hall meetings to explain to people how to recognize bullying and how to deal with it in public?
Sure. Really quick, the number is 248-559-2247. And that's actually a great question. And I thank you for asking that because we are actually doing that as we speak. Actually, we will be having an anti-bullying workshop tonight at the Islamic Association of Greater Detroit in Rochester Hills.
Okay.
And that will start at 8 o'clock. And we'll have, we're hosting, at CARE, we're hosting a psychiatrist will be with us, as well as an individual who's worked on bullying in schools, as well as myself. And we'll actually be discussing that. And we'll be doing that throughout different communities. And if any community is interested in hosting an anti-bullying workshop with us, we're more than happy to provide that service. They just have to contact our office.
Wonderful, wonderful. Mike, do we have any callers?
Nope, just Lena.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. What else can we tell the community, Lena?
I think just keep aware of your surroundings, not to be scared. We have a lot of support within our community and outside of our community. We're building allies, and I think it's just really important that be aware of your surroundings, be strong, and know that we're fighting for you, and also that more people than not are supportive, and I think just being active in your community is also a great thing. And then if you're on campuses, to walk with a partner system, a buddying system in school, and also don't ever be afraid to report. It's very important that you report and you stand up for yourself and for your child.
Do you, from your experience, do you think this has peaked, or do we expect more? I'm talking about bullying.
I hope that I can't really answer that. I'm not sure. I don't think any of us were sure that we'd reach this point. So I think that we are just going to, no matter what happens in the future, we're still going to, at CARE, continue to do what we do best, which is advocating on behalf of our community. And regardless of how bad or worse it gets, we will always be here to support our community. And I think that everyone will, just keep advocating and, standing up for themselves and just doing what we do best.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. One more time, could you please give us the number?
Of course. The number for CARE Michigan is 248-559-2247.
2247. And I thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate what you do and everything you do for the community. And please let us know if we can help you in publicizing some of the events that you do, because they're wonderful events.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you for being with us this morning. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
A car accident can change your life in an instant. As a result of a car accident, you may become unemployed. As a result of a car accident, you may need a lot of medical treatment. People think that insurance companies are on their side. Why? Because they're giving them one or two benefits. Are they giving them all the benefits they deserve? How would one know unless you consult with an attorney? Call the law offices of Jumana Kiruz at 248-557-3645. 248-557-3645.
Are you going to start a restaurant or grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Najee Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Najee Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Najee Abood, 734-744-9796.
If your beautiful children, family, friends, and the home that you've worked so hard to build was threatened, and all you could do was pick up what you could hold in your hands and flee for your life along a dangerous, untraveled road to a displacement camp far from home. Over 1 million people in Mosul are leaving behind everything in hopes of escaping with their lives. These families are in desperate need of help just to survive another day. For $150, you can provide a fleeing family with a relief package that includes blankets, food, water, and a hygiene kit. And for only $35, you can provide one individual with a relief package. Join Life for Relief and Development's effort that's already on the ground to face the crisis in Mosul and provide hope during times of difficulty. Please act now and donate today.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. Imad Nakash is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. Imad Nakash. See Dr. Imad Nakash and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us this morning. We're talking about bullying and hate crimes, and as you well know, I'm sure you've heard it and read it in the media, and the number has increased and surged by 6%. There have been 460 reported incidents of bullying and harassment against various communities, including Muslim Americans. And good morning, Ms. McQuade. Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Barbara McQuade, she's the U.S. Attorney in Detroit for the Eastern District. And we want to thank you so much for your time. And again, we're talking about the surge of reported cases against minorities and against, particularly Muslim Americans after during and after the election of Mr. Trump, President-elect Trump. And again, the FBI reported a surge of 6% of hate crimes fueled again by attacks on Muslims. Are these unusual numbers, Ms. McQuade?
Well, it is a significant spike, significant enough to notice. In the past year, we've seen an increase in reported hate crimes, and then just in the past week, we've had a number of incidents that have been reported to us, and it's not just against members of the Muslim American community, but against Hispanic members of our community, against LGBT members of our community. So many groups are reporting incidents of hate crimes and bias incidents and threats.
Is this kind of unusual?
Yes, it is. It's definitely increased. I don't know all of the factors that contribute to it, but our focus is on, one, bringing perpetrators to justice where there's a criminal offense that we can prove, and two, trying to get the word out, which is why I appreciate being here on your show today, as a deterrent message to anyone who would think of committing such a crime, and also let victims know that if something like this happens to them, to please let us know, because we want to fully investigate it and bring offenders to justice, and let people know that our society does not tolerate this kind of hateful behavior.
What's the law in here?
Well, the federal law, which is what I enforce, makes it a crime in a couple of different areas. One is the area of hate crimes, and that involves an act of violence that's perpetrated against someone based on their race, their religion, their national origin, their sexual orientation, disabilities, or gender identity. So if someone assaults someone, we brought a case not long ago against a man who was beaten up in a Detroit gas station just because he was gay, and the offender admitted that was the reason that he beat him up. For us to have federal jurisdiction, it has to be in some sort of public access place, a place of business, a public street, a public hotel, building, school, or something like that. So that's one category. But another category comes in the civil arena, and for places of public accommodation, including schools, if discrimination is tolerated by the institution, we can bring a civil lawsuit. So, for example, bullying in schools. The first form of redress for a student who is bullied should be to talk to school officials, talk to a teacher, talk to a principal about it, and they have a duty to stop it. But if they don't stop it, we want to know about it because we can bring a lawsuit against that school for damages for the child and injunctive relief to make the school do a better job of preventing bullying in the school.
What are we doing to prevent and preempt things like that?
Well, I know many people, including our office, are out in schools, in the community, educating people about these laws and about why it's so important in a civilized society like ours to value diversity. I mean, America is a nation of immigrants. We have always found our greatest strength in our immigrants. If you look at great Americans, they come from all different backgrounds and walks of life. And so it is always strange to me that we have these battles from time to time in our nation's history, but we have. But we've always overcome them. It seems like the newest groups are the ones that are least tolerated, although I don't know that Muslim Americans are particularly new to America. But, my people, the Irish, experienced it 100 years ago when they came after the Great Potato Famine. African Americans continue to experience it.
Sure.
Chinese Americans, Jewish Americans. And so, these days it's fashionable to bash Muslim Americans, I suppose, because of people's fears of incidents overseas. It's fashionable to bash Hispanics, I suppose, because of immigration issues, and LGBT members of our community, perhaps because people have fear of the unknown. But I think it's our job to educate people. We find that when people know and live among people of different groups, there's no problem with them. It's people who don't know people of other groups who have fear. I think it's easy to demonize people when you've never met them and to believe the false stereotypes that you hear. So part of our job, and others too, the Michigan Department of Civil Rights is out there doing a lot of great work. The Department of Education is out there doing a lot of great work. The Michigan Attorney General's office is out there doing a lot of great work to try to educate people, about the laws and the values of the American Constitution to promote, respect people of all walks of life.
How many cases have been reported to your office recently?
I don't have the exact number, but in the past week, we've probably had between 5 and 10 incidents, and that is very rare. In a typical week, we would have 0 to 1. We might get 5 in a whole year ordinarily, and 5 or 10 in a week is really substantial.
Now, this is, it's not really a political question, but it's just more of a process question. If President-elect Trump selects someone for Attorney General that does not really support the philosophies that you've been following here in Detroit, does that affect your work?
Well, it could. We'll wait and see, but I am hopeful that no matter what happens, that, here in Detroit and even at the national level, we have a constitution that backs up what we do. And so I am cautiously optimistic that despite what we've heard during the campaign, that those in positions of power, when they take the oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, that they mean it, and that if they fail to live up to those standards, they'll be called out on it because we intend to live up to those standards, and that's my expectation.
Sure. I was listening to President-elect Trump on 60 Minutes, and his message was pretty timid. Instead of saying, no, this is wrong, don't do this, his message was, somewhat timid, and I was kind of a little bit disappointed with that.
Yeah.
And again, this is for him to answer, but just as a result of what I've seen.
Yeah, I can't speak for him, but I can tell you that in Detroit, we're committed to protecting all of our citizens, all of our residents. We have done a lot of work reaching out to all sorts of communities. And, that predates me. The U.S. Attorney during the Bush administration did quite a bit of work to reach out to the community. Jeff Collins and then Steve Murphy were out in the community making sure people, knew about the rights that were there to be protected. And so I would expect that that tradition will continue in Detroit, and I really believe in our country. I think we're better than some of the rhetoric that we've heard during the election, and I'm hopeful that we will live up to our values. I think that what we do is so public that I don't think the American people will tolerate leaders who don't live up to our constitutional values. And besides, we have processes to enforce that with the Constitution. And, people can bring lawsuits and other things if leaders should fail to live up to those standards. So our country, not only does our public demand that we live up to our values, but if that should somehow fail, I think that the checks and balances that are built into our system will help provide the safety net that we need.
Absolutely. So, although sometimes that could take time, and people who face incidents like this, may be too late for them.
Yeah,
now,
and I understand that people are fearful, so I really want to assure them that, at least here in Detroit, we're here to protect people. We want to hear about incidents, and we'll do all in our power that we can to give you all the same rights and privileges and protections of all Americans.
There's some, not like, well, it is fear, but also there are a lot of stories in the community, telling people, don't travel overseas. If you come back, they may not, the government may not let you in, and all of these issues. And, for U.S. citizens, what are the rights here?
Yeah, if you're a U.S. citizen, you really do have the right to come and go. I'm not an expert on immigration, so if you're, someone who is, here on a visa or something like that, I guess your rights to travel are a little more restricted. I don't know all those rules. I suppose if you're considering traveling overseas, there would be value in talking to someone who knows about the immigration laws, maybe someone at USCIS, Citizen and Immigration Services. They're very helpful there, and maybe can give people information if they have concerns about travel overseas. But if you're a U.S. citizen with a U.S. passport, you have all the rights to come and go.
Yeah. Now, you spoke about if there is an assault, if there is an issue, and all that. Now, what would your recommendation be if there is really no physical contact, it's only verbal? What should people do?
Yeah, so if there's just verbal contact, that's a little bit of a different story for us, at least. It doesn't constitute a federal offense unless, as I said, it's harassment that occurs in a school. Then we have, if the school officials won't handle it, we can bring some action on anti-bullying. But if it's just verbal harassment, it's not going to be a federal offense. There are some state laws against ethnic intimidation, and so if the threat, if the verbal attack amounts to a threat, I will kill you, I will hurt you, that can be a crime under state law. And so people should contact their local police department. If something like that happens, they don't know. People aren't lawyers. People don't know whether it amounts to a crime or not. So if you are in a verbal altercation that makes you uncomfortable, you should call your local police and let the professionals sort it out. And what's important about that is not taking matters into your own hands, because I think sometimes people want to bait people into violence. And if you are the one who throws the first punch, now you're the one who's in trouble. So walk away, report it, and try to control your temper, because oftentimes that's what people want you to do. You may recall that in recent years we've had visits from a couple of groups, Reverend Terry Jones and a group called the Bible Believers, who come to Dearborn and try to stir up unrest. And it is clear to me that their whole goal is to provoke. They come out, they see these horrible, hateful things. They've got the video cameras ready to roll. And what they really want is to elicit a violent response that they can then show to others and say, look at how violent these people are.
Absolutely.
Which is obviously very unfair, and they would only show, the response. They wouldn't show the provocation. But I know that community leaders have done a wonderful job, religious leaders, police leaders, other community leaders, of building resilience in the community to say, don't take the bait. And that's just what they want you to do. I know it's very tempting when someone's saying these horrible, hateful things to throw a punch, but that's exactly what they want you to do. So walk away, report it to someone, and let the authorities sort it out.
Where does self-defense really factor in here?
Where does self-defense?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm with my family, what's self-defense? If somebody, is either attacking me or whatever it is, what can I do? I'm at a gas station. Yeah,
if someone physically attacks you?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's a tough situation to be in. You have a right to defend yourself. Someone is, physically attacking you. So if you need to, respond physically to protect yourself, I
I don't think anyone can fault you for that. But you would hope that that's a last resort. That if you can walk away, if you can report it, that's obviously a better outcome than any kind of physical altercation. Because if you get into it physically, someone's going to get hurt, and it might very well be you.
In this case, if I recorded with my phone, is that admissible evidence?
Yes, it depends, but probably. The standard when you have evidence in a trial is you would need to authenticate it. So typically that requires someone who is on the scene, whether that's you or someone else, to say, that is an accurate depiction of what I saw that day. So it can't replace eyewitness testimony, but it can certainly supplement and enhance eyewitness testimony. And as you know, a picture tells 1,000 words, because when you tell a story, you may not see all the details, you may forget some details, people may not believe everything you say, they may think you're lying or that you were mistaken somehow. But when they can see it for themselves, that can be very compelling evidence. So, again, you never want to put yourself in harm's way to obtain video, but if you can, that does become powerful evidence that can be very useful.
Sounds good. So who do we report incidents to in general?
So if you see an incident of a hate crime, we ask that you call the FBI. The number there is 313-965-2323. I'll repeat it if you like. 313-965-2323. They have happy to take tips and to investigate incidents of hate crimes.
Wonderful. And to your office, if there are any incidents, who would they call?
Yeah, we have a civil rights hotline for civil matters, and you can call 313-226-9151. 226-9151. That is our civil rights hotline.
Wonderful. Is there anything I haven't asked you?
No, I think you've covered it, and I just want to let your listeners know that we understand that this is a fearful time for them, and I'm confident that as we have in other points in our nation's history, we'll overcome this, because there are too many people who care deeply about the values of our nation and the rights of all people to be free in this country, regardless of their national origin, their religion, their race, their ethnicity. We all belong here. We're all Americans, and we will protect everyone's rights.
Any plans for any town hall meetings to discuss this with the public?
We are having a Bridges meeting, and everyone is welcome to come. I don't know the location yet, but when I do, I can let you know, so you can let your listeners know. And that's going to be on December 14th at 11:30 a.m. And so we can pass on the location when it gets set.
Sounds good. Look forward to that. And we want to thank you so much for being with us this morning. You've always been a lot of help, and we really appreciate everything you do to protect all communities, regardless of who they are.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All the best.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye now. Going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
At Metro Detroit Endocrinology, we have specialized physicians using state-of-the-art medical devices for diabetes, thyroid disorders, and weight management. Call for an appointment at 313-914-5580 or come in and visit us at our new location at 5250 Auto Club Drive in Dearborn. Every member of our staff is determined to ensure the best of care for each and every patient. We offer many services including bone density testing, thyroid ultrasound biopsy, simulation testing, and diabetic pump training on site. Our physicians will diagnose and treat hormone imbalances and problems by helping to restore the normal balance of hormones in the body. We'll find the best solutions for your individual needs, and the schedule is never too busy to give you the personal care you deserve. For an appointment or for more information, please call us at 313-914-5580 or visit Metro Detroit Endocrinology at our new location at 5250 Auto Club Drive in Dearborn.
It's never too early to get your child on the right track. From their first words to first grade, Dreamy Children's Center in Troy works closely with parents to provide an experience that goes beyond early education. The highly qualified and experienced staff use a variety of programs that can help nurture important personality traits like responsibility, independence, problem solving, motivation, and respect. They also have educational programs ranging from preschooling for infants, toddlers, transitional toddlers, and pre-K to Montessori-approved programs and bilingual curriculums for young children. They're open from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., can provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner with snacks in between, and can also arrange for after-school pickup. Dreamy Children's Center in Troy is located at 37373 DeQuinder, just above 16 Mile Road, and can be found on Facebook at Dreamy Children's Center. Ask about the free preschool program. Call today, 248-680-9170, 248-680-9170.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
Welcome to the United States. Please proceed to the passport control.
ماذا يقول؟ إلى أين أذهب؟ ماذا علي أن أفعل؟ لو سمحت، هل تساعدني؟ ماذا قال هذا الرجل في الإعلان؟
ألا تعرف الإنجليزية؟
أعرف، ولكن أساسيات فقط.
عليك بتعلم اللغة.
ولكن أين؟ يوتيكا كوميونيتي سكول ESL بروجرام. أساتذة متخصصون، منهج متميز. يمكنك التسجيل طوال العام. لرسوم التسجيل ومواعيد الفصول الدراسية عليك الاتصال بالهاتف رقم
586-797-6960 586-797-6960.
تحدث اللغة وتعلم نمط الحياة مع يوتيكا كوميونيتي سكول ESL بروجرام. تعلم، تحدث وأكثر.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for being with us this morning. We've been talking about bullying and harassment, and to our community and all communities in the after the election of Donald Trump to be president of the United States. Again, I mentioned this before, and I was very disappointed in his timid statement when 60 Minutes asked him that people are getting hurt because of you and what you said. He basically looked in the camera and said, stop it. It's like he's talking to a little child instead of being far more firm, instead of being, very adamant about the fact that we're all Americans, we all have rights. It's not appropriate. It's not right. Election rhetoric is election rhetoric. Now it's time to be serious. It's time to move on to the most important stuff, which is how to run this country better. And, he promised to bring unity in the community, but I really don't see, the evidence there. I'm hoping that he will, go back to his senses and things could work out. Is Dr. Sawan with us this morning?
Lara Elborno is.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning, Laura.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Hello. Good, very well, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us. Please tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm a Palestinian American. I grew up in Chicago, and I'm currently a law professor in Paris.
Wonderful. So you teach in French?
I'm actually teaching in English. I'm teaching a course on UK constitutional law.
Okay.
So my students are French, but my course is in English.
Talking about how to deal with the stress from the topic, which is bullying minorities in the aftermath of the election of Donald Trump. How to deal with the stress from the increased hate crimes and harassments and bullying against minorities in the United States, and specifically, how could our community deal with that? And, just wanted to mention a couple things, because earlier we were talking to a care representative. We were talking to Barbara McQuade. She is the U.S. attorney in Detroit. And some of the highlights is really, you don't have to, if it becomes to be physical, then you can call and report it. But you need to call immediately, call your local police, call the FBI, call the civil rights hotlines, and then we will have all of these numbers available on our website for you. And every home, every person should have those numbers. Plus, it's very important that you document what happened, whether being whether being in a video form, which is the best, or being in document very well what happened. Do not take the bait and start a fight, because if you do, then you're the loser at the end of the day. So we know, as you heard, we were talking, and I don't know if you were listening from the beginning of the show.
I was, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So what's your take on this?
Well, I mean, it's definitely true that we have seen an increase, a surge in attacks across the country, even dating back to just the start of the actual campaign. I know you referred to the FBI hate crime statistics, which came out a few days ago, which basically said that 2015 was the worst year for Muslims since the rise in hate crimes against the Muslim American community in the aftermath of 9/11. So what that means is that throughout the course of his entire campaign, Trump really emboldened people who previously may have had certain thoughts but were not acting on them to really get out there and make it physical and to actually carry out these confrontations. So it's true that we find ourselves, in a delicate, kind of scary moment right now, and I know a lot of people are scared. I know a lot of people were struggling with how to explain the election results to their children because their children were so fearful. So I definitely feel for the Muslim American community and all of the racial and ethnic minorities, the LGBT community as well, that really are suffering right now.
So how do we protect ourselves?
Well, I think we've had a lot of really good suggestions from all of the callers. Some have talked about finding allies, make sure that you stay in groups, make sure you report all the attacks to the authorities and also the different civil organizations that are working with the Muslim American community. Don't be afraid to speak out either. I mean, we have today in 2016 the power of social media. When you write about your experience on Facebook and you make a public post and it gets shared thousands of times, we have the power to create viral posts and to really share our experiences with American society. So don't be afraid to use social media as well. But I think
only if it is done responsibly, though. We don't want to encourage people to, because when people get to social media, sometimes they drop their guard and engage in, unnecessary, name calling and so forth and so on. So it needs to be done responsibly.
Absolutely, and the way I envision it really is a way to give our community a voice. For example, if somebody is attacked, to share your experience. Don't be afraid to speak out, because we also have to remember, and I think this is a really important point, Trump supporters and the people who agree with him are in the minority in America. We have to remember Hillary Clinton did win the popular vote, and because of our electoral system, Trump is now going to be the president. But most people in this country don't subscribe to his views and don't blame the problems in their lives on minorities. And I think something that's really important for our community is to get involved in the political process. We have some great politicians on our side. Bernie Sanders continues to speak out almost on a daily basis against all forms of racism, Islamophobia, and targeting minorities. And right now, the Democratic National Committee is considering Keith Ellison, who's actually a Muslim congressman, to actually lead the Democratic National Committee. So get online, sign the petition, make sure that he becomes the leader of the Democratic National Committee, because if we're going to go forward, we need strong voices to counter the very divisive rhetoric that's coming from Trump's side.
The Democrats need a lot more help than that. It was the white Democrats that put Trump in the White House because they abandoned, and this is a political analysis, but it was, if you look at the map nationwide, it was white Democrats who abandoned the ideology of their party and then voted based on their, racial ideologies and voted for Trump. And this is why he's in the White, and he's going to be in the White House. What we're going to do, Laura, is we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the stress and how to deal with it. Please stay tuned.
Sure.
أحمد إبراهيم من سوبر ماركت زمزم المطعم. عندنا أكلات كتير عراقية ومصرية ولبنانية زي جلابة وتشيكن طاووق وكباب ومسقعة، وأحيانا بنعمل الملوخية والكشري وفراخ مشوية، وكل اللي انتوا عايزينه موجود عندنا. اتفضلوا زورونا في محلات زمزم.
أحييكم من أسواق زمزم ويوجد عندنا تخفيضات كتيرة على الأسواق وعلى الجروسري وعلى الخضار وعلى اللحوم. عندنا لحوم حلال والمطعم كله لحوم حلال كمان. وأتمنى لكم السلامة والدوام، وزورونا دايما هتلاقوا تخفيضات كتيرة وكبيرة وتجدوا كل ما يسركم.
استوديو زرياب بإدارة حسن حامد في ستورمينغ هايتس يحييكم ويقدم لكم خدماته بالصوت والصورة، تسجيل، تصوير، مونتاج، فيديو كليب، إعلانات، كوميرشالز، دوكيومنتري، أفلام وثائقية للترويج لبضائعكم ومحلاتكم وشركاتكم، برامج تلفزيونية وإذاعية. استوديو زرياب وبتقنية عالية بإدارة حسن حامد 313-945-8860 313-945-8860 أو 248-761-5787. استوديو زرياب، الصوت والصورة اختصاصنا.
Welcome to the United States. Please proceed to the passport control.
ماذا يقول؟ إلى أين أذهب؟ ماذا علي أن أفعل؟ لو سمحت، هل تساعدني؟ ماذا قال هذا الرجل في الإعلان؟
ألا تعرف الإنجليزية؟
أعرف، ولكن أساسيات فقط.
عليك بتعلم اللغة.
ولكن أين؟ يوتيكا كوميونيتي سكول ESL بروجرام، أساتذة متخصصون، منهج متميز، يمكنك التسجيل طوال العام. لرسوم التسجيل ومواعيد الفصول الدراسية عليك الاتصال بالهاتف رقم
586-797-6960 586-797-6960.
تحدث اللغة وتعلم نمط الحياة مع يوتيكا كوميونيتي سكول ESL بروجرام. تعلم، تحدث وأكثر.
قشات ميديترينيان ماركت بإدارة سهر قشات وأولاده يرحبون بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. جميع أنواع المواد الغذائية، البان طازجة، الكرزات والبهارات الطازجة. داخل الأسواق مطعم ميديترينيان شيش كباب يقدم يوميا جميع أنواع الكباب، المقبلات العربية العراقية وصواني الكامبو المميزة. تفتح الأسواق من 8 إلى 9 مساء من الاثنين وحتى السبت، ومن 8 صباحا إلى 9 مساء يوم الأحد. تقع الأسواق على 32839 نورث ويسترن هايواي في مدينة فارمينغتون هيلز. لحوم حلال للجالية الإسلامية. لطلباتكم من المطعم كول 248-538-7855. That is 248-538-7855. قشة ميديترينيان ماركت، خدمة متميزة ومعاملة راقية.
Thank you for being with us and welcome back. The number is 248-557-3300. We're talking to Laura about bullying and harassment of minorities in the United States. I just want to remind our listeners that Laura is the daughter of the talented Dr. Sawan, Nasreen Sawan, who is normally with us. And Dr. Sawan mentioned that Laura is experienced in this field, and we're so glad and happy to have you, Laura. Thanks again. Earlier, again, we were talking about the stress. How do we deal with the stress?
Well, I think, we can't underestimate the power of our communities. I know that you have a big community in Dearborn, and I think it's really important for us to stick together and to vocalize our fears and our concerns and our experiences. We shouldn't have to suffer through any of this alone. And I know for a lot of the younger Muslims, especially the younger girls who wear hijab, oftentimes, especially if they go to public school, they may feel like, they're in this alone, or they're the only ones who maybe dress a certain way, and it's really important for them to be surrounded by a lot of support and to share their experiences with their families and friends.
So, and you did really touch up on this, and specifically women that wear hijab. What would you say to them?
That they're not alone. I know that some women have struggled with perhaps even continuing to wear the hijab, and I will never tell a woman whether or not, what she should do in that regard, because it's a very personal choice for a woman to decide to wear hijab. But, they should know that they're not alone. They should know that, in the surge, in the aftermath of the election, I even saw on my own Facebook, my non-Muslim friends have become so active. They've become so active. They're rallying around the cause. They're sharing information. They're raising awareness. There's a lot of people who actually support us, and we need to keep that in mind.
Wonderful. Are there any preventive measures that these women can take?
Preventive measures to prevent attacks and harassment, to be honest, I'm not sure that there's anything that we can do to really control the actions of other people, but there are things that, like I said, we can do to try to minimize the risk, and that's really the things that we've touched on earlier, is just to find those allies, those non-Muslim allies, and the Muslim allies, to stay in groups, to make sure our voices are heard by reporting all attacks, and to really not be afraid to be who we are, and to show people who we are. One of your other callers commented that, we know that when people know Muslims, they like us. And a lot of the times people's fears are because they don't know who we are. So I've said this before on your show, we have a responsibility to make ourselves known to our community members. And this means reaching out to the non-Muslim community members who may not know any Muslims.
Absolutely. And this was going to be my next point to really bring up. And that is, I teach diversity and I go out into the community quite a bit, the non-Muslim community. And, regardless of how the scene looks, there's tremendous thirst from non-Muslims to learn about the community. I don't think we do a good job in really explaining who we are and our culture, and a lot of people don't even know that Muslim Americans are part of the fabric of the the American society. They don't know that most doctors and engineers and professionals in the community are Muslim Americans. And, and just because we don't go out and it's not part of our faith to go out and convert people, it doesn't mean that, we don't exist, and we exist in a very healthy way. For example, here in the Detroit metro area, professionals yield $8 billion in salaries, and, that's $250-something million in taxes to the state alone. So we're very active. And again, you brought up a very good point. We don't really do a good job. So what can we do?
There's nothing to stop, for example, our mosques or our community centers from inviting, the local community members to come to have a discussion with us, to have dinner with us, to, attend maybe, to watch one of our prayer services, and then, join us in a discussion afterwards. I'm sure this is happening to some extent, but we need to make it a priority, because the more people will know us, the more they will like us, because we're just like everybody else. But you're absolutely right.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I don't think the mosque should be involved at all. And for the reason is that I've attended, I'm very involved with most of the mosques here, and then I do quite a bit of work in the non-Muslim community on my own, and I see far more better reception for an individual that is not associated with a mosque in that community. And, I think it's just far more effective. Also, I don't think people at the mosque are trained to do this. Just because someone is an imam doesn't mean that he's a he knows religious duties, but he does not know social and others. That can be part of it, but for it to be effective, from my experience, I think we need to, to really stay away from, not involve the mosque with this. This needs to be a social outreach, individual to individual, and I can tell you stories how effective it is when it is done that way.
Well, I will say one thing to respond to that. I mean, we also can't ignore the relevance of the mosque in American society, because oftentimes these mosques are the target of the hate crimes, whether it's through graffiti or attempts, arson attempts or whatever it may be. So there is some sort of curiosity or attention given to these mosques. So I do agree with you that it should not be the only place where we're trying to bring people together, but they have to be somewhat part of the conversation. We can't ignore that they exist, and I think that our fellow Americans are definitely curious to know, what goes on in there. What do you guys talk about in there? What do you guys do in there?
And I do include visiting the mosque part of the program that I do, and I also, in the booklet that I give out, I have specific instructions in how to go to the mosque and what to do and etiquette and so forth and so on.
Right.
And I do explain that a mosque in America is different than a mosque in the Middle East, where the mosque in the Middle East is basically a big building. A mosque in America is more or less a community center. There's a lot of activities there, which is, they teach Arabic, they teach a lot of stuff, and which is really good. But it is the leadership that I'm more concerned about, that they're not really equipped to do that. They're not even equipped in general to really reach out to the American Muslim community. These are they're born here, and we're struggling with that, as you well know. And so this is why I think it needs to be done on a social level.
And you know what? That could even include, fellow Muslims, saying to their neighbor, hey, I'm for example, going to this, dinner or this lecture at the mosque tonight. Would you like to come be my guest? Coming from people and not necessarily from the leadership. I agree with that because we are strong and we need to know that individually, on an individual basis, we can make a difference.
Absolutely. I make a point during Ramadan to invite non-Muslims for iftar. And it has been very successful. I mean, these are how you create agents of spreading the message about our community and who we are. And you brought up something very important early, that when we don't know, we really fear. And to eliminate the fear, we need to make people know who we are.
Right.
Anything I didn't ask you about stress and that we can really benefit from?
Anything on stress? I mean, look, I encourage any young Muslim who's struggling with harassment or whatever it may be to find their outlet. Find something that you're passionate about that you can channel your feelings into in a productive way, whether that's art or music or writing or speaking out or whatever it may be. I mean, we are talented people. We are driven people. There's no reason why we can't find, a productive way to deal with our feelings and our emotions at this very difficult time.
Wonderful. Laura, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. And
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being with us and thank Dr. Sawan for us as well.
Absolutely. Thanks very much.
Okay, bye now. Just a reminder, we've been, this past hour, we've been talking about bullying minorities in the United States, in America, in the aftermath of the election of President Trump, President-elect Trump, rather. And some of the key elements here is that document, use your video taping if possible. Don't put yourself in a position where you have, to confront people. Do not confront anybody, and call your local police, call the FBI, call the other organizations that, like CARE and others who provide help, and, educate as many people as possible. And I think in the community, in general, the community should really forge good, or not organizations, but allies with other communities as well. There is no reason why we shouldn't work with the African American community, or Latino community, and other communities, and that are affected. Work all together and try to learn from each other's history and from each other's experiences and build on them. I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you for being with us. Please log in to wnzk.com for more information. Thanks again, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.